Hi there. Welcome back to Jane's Stories of Life. Every November, I have to retell this story. Some of you have heard it, some of you have read it several times, but it never gets old as far as I'm concerned because it's just a classic. This is the story of the blind date that started my journey with Morgan. We were married for almost 52 years, thanks to my mother playing Cupid along with 4 of Morgan's good friends. Some of you may know, I don't always share this part, but I need to. Right after college, I was married briefly for 4 months. That marriage ended when the man I was married to decided he wanted to move back home and didn't want to be married. Okay, hey. See you. At the end of that school year, I decided to move to Detroit, where I lived for 2 years. I loved Detroit. But things changed. The second year I was in Detroit, one Thursday night in the month of November, my mother called me and she said, "Jane, this nice young man just moved into the apartment building this week. He's a friend of the Mullen, Gwen and John, and Evelyn and Wendell Harris, who also lived in this 11 unit building." And she said, "He's just a nice young man." And I said, "Oh, really? Okay, I think I'll come home this weekend, check him out," which is what I did. My mom happened to have met Morgan because he had spoken to her book club one time. And so she had met him before. Well, sure enough, the 5 of them, I call them the Cupid Squad, arranged for us to meet. So Gwen and John invited Morgan and I to dinner at their apartment, which was right above my mom's apartment. Gwen, being a good North Carolina girl, had fixed chitlins and potato salad and the things that you normally have, which was kind of, different for a romantic first meeting, but hey, whatever. And actually, it was love at first sight. There was just something about Morgan. He was, from Delaware, never met anyone from Delaware. He had attended Delaware State University. He had majored in agriculture education. Urban Annie herself, a city child, ag education. I didn't even know that major existed. He had been in the Peace Corps for 2 years in India. He was just different. He had this charm, he captured my heart that night. The funny thing is that I loved playing cards. I was a card shark. I'm going to do a little video about my card sharking days. I was a card shark as a child. And in college, I was always in the card. I carried a deck of cards. I was a serious card player. One who counted books and knew what had been played and could talk a whole lot of smack and a whole lot of trash talking during a card game. Well, we played cards at night. Morgan was not a card player at all. And that was kind of high on my list of criteria for any man I was going to be interested in. But hey, somehow I was willing to overlook that with Morgan. Well, as it turns out, after a period of time, I decided to move back to Cleveland. We met in November, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. My mom invited Morgan to have Thanksgiving dinner with us that year, and the rest is history. I moved back to Cleveland in the summer of 1967. We were married in May of 1968, and as they say, we were married for almost 52 years. So you never know who you're going to meet on a blind date. It might work out, it might not, but it was a wonderful, my favorite November memory. I love love, I love romance, and I will tell you more about card shark Jane in another video. Cherish your memories and pass them on.